Behavioral economics. Behavioral economics is a study that intersects the principles of psychology and economics. More specifically, behavioral economics relates to the economic decision-making processes of individuals and institutions. Behavioral economics principles have major consequences for how we live our lives. By understanding the impact they have on our behavior, we can actively work to shape our realities. Social proof. A cognitive bias that states that you are more likely to do something if you see that others are doing it. You assume people around have a better understanding of the circumstances you have found yourself in, so it makes sense to follow their lead. Sunk cost fallacy. A tendency to stay with a decision and to dedicate additional resource, money and time into it simply don't want to lose the resources already invested and don't want to appear inconsistent. Anchoring. Human being tends to rely too heavily on one piece of information, usually the first one, when making a decision or estimating the value of uncertain objects. The initial anchor value is often used as a mental reference point, which might influence the choice people will make. Loss aversion. People feel losses more deeply than gains of the same value. It's more painful to lose something than to get that same thing. Emotions are contagious. If something causes intense feelings to arise in us, chances are we are going to share our experience. Social media are the perfect place to keep people up to date about how we feel, especially if we are happy, in pain, or excited. Emotional contagion is simply when one person's emotions or behaviors are mimicked by another person's, and sharing emotions can happen easier than we'd think. Fear of missing out, FOMO. People consume social media a bit too far for fear of missing out. The grass is always greener on the other side syndrome. We tend to experience feelings of anxiety and unease when we think about how other people are doing interesting things without us. Need to complete. We, as humans, don't like to leave things incomplete. We are motivated to finish a set of tasks, even with no further reward other than the satisfaction of completing them. The power of reciprocity. We feel a sense of obligation to return favors to people who have done something for us. This rule works not only with people you know but also with strangers. Even if we don't want the item given to us, our brains are unsettled until we feel that we have paid back the giver. When a user gets a message within WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, or elsewhere, the recipient is somewhat obligated to send something back. Scarcity. The harder it is to get something, the more we want it. We're far more motivated by the fear of losing than by the desire of gaining. Rewards. Everybody likes rewards and appreciation. A shot of dopamine gets released and mediates pleasure in the brain. The increase in the dopamine level encourages our brain to remember the prior action so that we can repeat it to get the reward again. Let influencers influence. People associate individuals whom they trust. People respond better to actions of people whom they admire. O2O commerce. Online to offline, O2O commerce is a business strategy that draws potential customers from online channels to make purchases in physical stores. Online to offline, O2O commerce identifies customers in the online space, such as through emails and internet advertising, and then uses a variety of tools and approaches to entice the customers to leave the online space. This type of strategy incorporates techniques used in online marketing with those used in brick-and-mortar marketing. As consumers behave differently in the online environment, O2O commerce actively leverages on the dynamics of behavioral economy to entice consumers in the online environment, by ways of what, how and how much information is presented. Then, close the sales at the physical environment.